Yeah, welcome. This is going to be covering Unity and I suppose introducing it. So on straight to the Unity page, I'm just going to go to a Unity store and when it eventually loads, I'll click on the individual tab and either grab a student or even the personal edition. Really, it doesn't matter. As you can see, there's the requirements of using each particular piece, but I've already downloaded it and installed it. The other thing that will be necessary is the Visual Studio Community Edition. Gives you all the C# stuff, and there's a few options you need to do when you install that, but that's not the focus of today. So once you've double-clicked on the icon or installed it, double-clicked on the icon, you can then go through and create a new project. As you can see, here's previous versions of the project that I've done, and I'll be getting rid of some of those soon. And from this, you can actually see I've installed that version of Unity 2020.3.OF1, I suppose, the one with long-term support. And yeah, so going new, excuse me, we need to give it a name. We're developing a 2D game this time. Really, it's just a quick introduction, doing a bit of an asset flip. So point and click. Yes, I know it already exists. Point and click 2, because I've already created a test version. And we can then also control the location. So if I don't like where it's dumped this stuff, I could create a Unity project folder for everything and then select it. But in this case, I'm just going to go create. This bit will take some time, as it did last time. But I'll stop the video here and we'll catch up in just a sec. Okay, a few things that I haven't mentioned to get to this stage is that first up, you'll need to create an account with the Unity people to actually be able to use the software. I would suggest that you use your school account or an account that you'll happily dispose of, because unless of course you're wanting to become a professional at using this sort of software. So if you're only using it for like just doing the requirements of this course, then create a disposable account. Otherwise, use something you want to keep using, really. It's whether or not you want to retain the data and what you want to do with all this. Okay, so next up, we need to actually get Unity set up. Now, as I've mentioned, I went through, created a 2D game, all that sort of stuff. We need to start loading up the assets. Now, to do this, I'm going to switch to the 2x3 editor. It gives me a bit more of a layout I'm used to, basically. So we're going to look in the assets folder. So this is this one here in this project settings, or the project detail. And we should be able to then right click and go make a new folder. Create folder. Beautiful. We need two folders at this point. The prefabs, which are basically, how would you describe prefabs? Basically templates for reuse. So you can churn out as many of these objects, things, whatevers as possible, as you need. And then also scenes, and scenes I've just created here, which already has a pre-built sample scene, which will be the main one in here at the moment. And then we move on to the new stuff. So I've got a set of assets that I've made available. There'll be a link associated with this. And basically the setup's pretty much done. We've got the assets. We haven't loaded them in yet, but we should have a look at that folder and load those things in. But we'll do that in just a minute. But this is sort of, it's all set up. First thing I want to do now is save early. My rule of thumb is save early, save often. Point and click game. Just going to dump that there, and that should all be fine. So yeah, the real thing is to save early, save often, so that as you're going through and creating this stuff, you don't lose it. I've had instances with power failures and other bits over the years where I've lost an hour or two's worth of work, and it's really difficult to go back through something you've created with a very precise detail and actually replicate it again. So yeah, it's important to do. All right.
Okay, now with a little bit of a jump cut, I'm on to take 237. This is getting more and more annoying with every second, but hey, let's keep going anyway. So this is my project. And I've got this predefined set of assets, which inside it has all of the script sounds and stuff that you should need. I'm hoping this works the way I intend, but anyhow, let's go. All I'm going to do is extract it to assets. What I want to make sure happens is that inside my assets folder, I have my prefabs, scenes, scripts, sounds, and sprites, all of it there ready to go. Then I can just minimize this, and moving back to Unity, it will go, oh wait, you've changed something, and it does an update. Hopefully in this assets folder, we will see the updates that have happened. I pause, cross my fingers, and luck holds. All right, so assets have now been introduced. Probably a great point to save it again, just in case. Control S. And then we add on and look at the background stuff. All right, so in my sprites, I have a whole collection of sprites. You are to replace these with anything you choose. And I'm just going to drag and drop this into this mess here. Now you'll notice via the main camera that's viewing down here in the bottom right-hand corner, left-hand corner, left, right, it's all the same thing really. I'm just going to adjust the size of this by grabbing the little blue handles on the corners, and that is done. So I've just added the background. I probably should actually give it a nice clear name so I know what it is. So just clicking slowly on this thing twice, I'm going to change the name from Game Background 2 to Background. Done. Now I need to add in the win text. So I grab this text and I will dump it on top. It's in there somewhere. I can see a little thing on it. And this is the bit that I had problems with when I went back and checked my tests with the new version. So I'm just going to do this and I'm going to hope it works. If it doesn't work, we'll find another way around it. So I need to change the object name here. I'm going to do it a second way this time. I'm going to go up to the inspector thing here and actually change it to win text. Great. If I click off it, it updates here. Perfect. Going to see that in its transforms here, its position is actually not absolute center. So taking the 3 dots up at top, I'm going to reset everything so that it is all reset. You can also reset the position, the rotation, and the scale in this section here, but because I've just done that, it won't worry about it. And I think that basically covers everything we need to do with this one. Oh, except we need to untick the active box. This way the object is not active at the start of the game and will not be seen. Then once the game is won, I suppose, it will then be activated and you see it. Shock horror. So now we need to add in some text onto this screen here. So going up to the game object, I'm going to go to the UI section and over to text. It will automatically add a canvas, and I can't see the text there at the moment, but I'm going to modify it so it's easier to see, and then I'll show you how to actually view it. So here I'm going to change the text just to the number 0. The font, gee, go crazy. I have no choice. All right, so I'll just take the bog standard font and I'm going to change the size probably to 28 point and click off that and then scroll down a little bit and change the color to something bright and readable. Red contrasts well with the blue sky, so we'll go with that one. Now, as I said, the actual score text does not show up in what we think of the screen, but it should. So if I actually double click on the canvas up the top here, it zooms out to where the canvas is. And I'm hoping, let's see, 30 seconds ago, it worked. Now it hates me. So let's just reset that back to 0 because it's obviously been placed somewhere. Ah, there it is. So here I can see on my screen, and this is basically what the screen will look like. The little point and click shooty game, I need to move that. So there's a couple of ways to do it. Again, we can go to the transforms here and we can grab these little things. And if I click on the text, I can slide it back and forth, going whatever direction I choose. I can actually also type in numbers. So if I know what the range is, I can go 50, 10, and don't worry about the Z position because that's sort of how far away or how near to the screen it is, and we don't need to worry about that. Or conversely, if I want a little bit more fluidity, I can get this move icon, which is the 4-headed arrow, and I can just click and drag and place it where I want. I want it somewhere high that's easily seeable. And I also want this thing bigger. So I'm going to go back down to the font size and increase the font size. That's giant and that's perfect. Now that probably should be called score text from memory. but I don't seem to have changed the name, so I will leave it as it is. I'm going to pause at this point just to make sure I'm doing the next section right and all that, and we'll get back to it in just a second. Okay, now we need to add the target, the game object or game manager to basically make things happen. So first up, I'm going to go into my sprite section and grab a target and drop it on the scene. Let's just, no, I can't drop it there, drop it in that. Cannot see it, so let's go to the main camera and see where I dropped it. Can't see still. So this coloured target outline, first off, I can't see where it is, but it seems to be positioned here. So what I'm going to do is increase the order in layer to 1 so it appears above the background. And I need to rename it. It should be called target with a capital T. Then we'll link up all the objects and make it all work properly. So this way we've actually got a target in the right place and on the right layer so we can actually see it. So we want to just drop it into the middle of where we are. So selecting the target, you can either change these to 0 and 0 to reposition, or you can go to the triple dot down to reset position, and that does both at the same time. Alright, next up we need to add, get the mic a little closer so you can possibly hear me, the components attached to this. First up is a 2D physics circle collider. This allows us to detect when it gets clicked on. And then should add a green circle around it, and you can just zoom right in and you can see a little speckly green circle. It's a bit hard to see against the blue, but it is there. Alright, now we need to add the scripting components. And if you've downloaded my assets and placed them in the right place, you'll have in your scripts folder targeted. And this requires a game manager. We haven't built that yet, so we'll get back to this in the final step of dealing with the target. But the target is basically created, and we need to now then put a copy of it in our prefab so that we can use and repeat it multiple times. And that's, I think, covers all those steps. Yep, so that allows reuse. Now we're developing the game manager. So up in this hierarchy column, at the very top here, we have a game. So what we're going to add is a fresh object, which is called an empty. It has nothing attached to it. It's not a pre-built with any fancy features. So first thing I want to do is actually rename it Game Manager. Oops, without the extra W. Notice the capitalization, that may stuff things up if you get it wrong. And then we add another script to it. In this case, scripts, the Game Manager script, surprise, surprise. And then we need to actually link all the bits and pieces to this script so the manager knows what it's dealing with. So first up, from the prefabs folder, we grab our target and we link it into the target section. Done. From the WinText here, we link this in to WinText, and then this one just labeled text. I'm actually going to change the name. It should be called Score Text because I forgot to do that earlier. But now that it is done, it's called Score Text, and we link Score Text to Score Text. And this basically tells the game manager when you're updating your target, affect this prefab over here. When you're doing the WinText, displayed here. Now, I've had some problems getting this working properly, so it may not pop up, but we'll see what happens. And then finally, we have Score Text, which actually updates the score as things go along. Now, there's also, we need to add some audio to this, so we get the little beep, beep, beep sound. So because I've got the audio already pre-built, I'm just going to grab an audio source. It will go, oh, what's your audio source? Well, the audio source will be listed in sounds. So if we just click on the audio clip, it should automatically find it for us. Alternatively, we can click on the sounds folder and drag and drop and connect it in here. And we want to untick the play and awake, because play and awake basically means when that first starts up, it'll make a beep sound. And we don't want that to happen the first time when the game starts. Finally, we go back to our target, clicking on the game manager here. It brings up all the stuff associated with our target. And sprite circle collider. There's our script. So what we need to do is grab the game manager and just connect that into here. So basically this is the target needs to basically go, oh, I've destroyed, or I'm died, or I've been clicked on. And what that tells the game manager, it passes a message to the game manager, and the game manager will update the score as a result. And basically now we can test. And when I run this, give it a few seconds to build all the components. Tick, 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 tock, tock, tock. I can
clear and hopefully you can hear the sounds. I definitely can hear the sounds going beep, 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 beep. And when it gets to 10, no win text appears, but the game stops. So you've basically got to click on 10 to win. So I'm not too sure how to fix the win text yet. I'll have another go at it, and if I get that done, I'll end up recording another video updating this. But it's not working the way I want, and I've got to get this out to you guys ASAP. So this is done.